subscribe to my channel so that you will be notified whenever I upload a new video. This channel is to help you gain clarity through reflection process with logical thinking. Wisdom comes from reflection. How? By knowing yourself, looking inwardly. Knowing yourself is the beginning of clarity. Second, logic is the beginning of wisdom, because logic gets you from A to B objectively. Third, clarity leads to wisdom, and wisdom leads to purity. Purity prevents corruption in thoughts, words, and deeds. Ultimately, leads to success, peace, and harmony. To reach purity, wisdom is the key. Clarity is the door. Reflection is the way, and logical thinking is what do you do when you think people have a wrong impression of you? Do you instantly think they are wrong? Do you instantly defend yourself? Do you instantly tell them that they don't understand you? They don't see the full picture. The point is the key word, instantly. Anything that happens instantly is a reaction. And pay attention to your thoughts. You think they don't understand you. You think they are wrong. You think they don't see the full picture. This is the echo of who you are. Why do you think so? Aren't you the same? What is the difference comparing to them? Do you see that your instant reaction is the same as they are? Plus, go through the reflection process before you say anything. This happened to me all the time. This has been the most common thing in my life. I'm going to show you how I take perception by going through reflection process with logical thinking. Let's begin with stage 1, mindfulness. Stage 1, mindfulness. This is about facts and information. The topic today is perception. What would you do when people have a wrong perception of you? This is about perception. Therefore, the first logical question is, what is perception? We need to understand this from two aspects, the semantic meaning and the psychological meaning. About the semantic meaning, according to Merriam-Webster dictionary, it says that perception is the way you think about or understand someone or something. From the psychological aspect, I found some information from the Boundless Psychology in this Boundless Psychology course. It says that the perceptual process is a sequence of steps that begins with stimuli in the environment and ends with the interpretation of those stimuli. This process is typically unconscious and happens frequently. An unconscious process is simply one that happens without awareness or intention. For example, when you open your eyes, you don't need to tell your brain to interpret the lights falling on your retinas from the object in front of you, such as computer, because this has happened unconsciously. About how we interpret the perception. We interpret it in a way that makes sense with the existing information about the world or about what we see. Interpretation simply means that we take the information that we sense and organize and turn it into something that we can categorize. Okay, let's take this information to the next stages. Stage 2 and stage 3, logical thinking and action plan. Stage 2 and stage 3, logical thinking and action plan, based on the semantic meaning from Merriam-Webster dictionary and the psychological meaning from Boundless Psychology. What do you see? What is the logic? I have seen 5 logical points. Number 1, I see that perception is what you see, and this seeing is physical. It is everything you see in that environment at that moment. Number 2, I see that perception is about your reaction as a result of the environmental stimuli. That means I can see what stimulates you by your reaction. Because although I cannot see what is inside you, what stimulates you, I can see your reaction. And your reaction is the expression of the stimuli. Number 3, I see that your perception is based on the existing information in you about the environment, about what you see in that environment at that moment. Number 4, I see that how you interpret the perception is how you categorize information. Number 5, I see that perception is an unprocessed thought because it is the reaction of the stimuli and it is unconscious. Unconscious simply means you have not gone through a thinking process. It is automatic. Therefore, ultimately, it means your perception is an unprocessed thought. In summary, the semantic meaning plainly says that perception is the way you think or understand someone or something. The word think and understand sound like having gone through a thinking process. Whereas from the psychological aspect, it says that perception is a stimuli and an unconscious process that happens without awareness or intention. These two seem to be contradicting, but the key point is information for the thinking is limited because the interpretation of perception comes from the seeing and the existing information in the mind at that moment. The question is, what if there's nothing much in the mind about that environment or that situation or about someone, something? Do you see that when people live on perception, it simply means that they don't think much. They don't go through the thinking process. They rely on the reaction of stimuli or the limited information that they have at that time in their mind. Now, back to my reflection on how I take perception. Here are the bases of how I take perceptions. Number 1, logically, understanding that a perception is an unconscious process and it is as a result of stimuli. I take it as an initial impression. I will not be bothered by it. It does not carry much weight in my thinking process. Number 2, ultimately, it all boils down to what that is. Is this impression relating to a mean intention? If it is, then I will watch it mindfully for a period of time, trying to see what it is in action until the conclusion could be drawn, because ultimately it is the actions that count. Number 3, if I see something that I don't understand, and if it is important to me, I will find out. Finding out to me is not about asking around. It is to research for more facts and information. I believe in drawing my own conclusion based on the first-hand facts and information. Even an expert's advice, it does not stop me from digging further because logically, what others tell me are their interpretation of their source of information. And their source of information might not be original, which means it is opinions upon opinions. I want to avoid that. My suggestion for action plan is don't take perception seriously. Don't live on perception. Go through a thinking process, a reflection process with logical thinking. Don't take perception too seriously, even though you think it is wrong. Because logically, perception-driven persons are the feelings-driven persons. Moreover, perception is an unconscious process, and it is as a result of the stimuli. It is about what you see without going through a thinking process. It is raw. It is unprocessed. It could be a good piece of reference, but let it go through a thinking process before you take it seriously or before you draw a conclusion. In conclusion, how do I take perception? Usually, perception has no impact on me at all. Right or wrong, I don't care how people perceive me, especially from those people who don't spend enough time with me, that don't care to know me more. I just take it as a pinch of salt. It really doesn't matter how people perceive me. The point is understanding that perception is an unconscious process and it is a reaction of stimuli. Understanding that how a perception is formed, what is the value of having a perception? Not much. Like the saying, don't judge the book by its cover. Exactly this is what a perception is. Sure, we can't stop having a perception because it is an unconscious process. Therefore, we don't have to take it seriously. Knowing what it is and how it is formed, it does not carry much value. It does not carry much weight. I am a thinking person, a logical thinking person. This entire reflection process is who I am. This is my thinking process. In any situation, I will first turn to facts and information. Let's get the facts right. Let's get the information right. This is my first focus. I want to make sure that I have enough information. I have enough facts to stay objective. Then thinking it through logically and see how it makes sense. Eventually, make an action plan. At the end, I always ask myself, now what? What is the next step? What do I do next? After seeing all the logic and seeing what it makes sense, I need to take action, either to make it better or to fix it. Reflection or thinking process without an action plan, it does not mean anything. Because when we reflect, when we go through a thinking process, it's because we want to improve ourselves. We want to be a better person. We want to do something different. We want to take action. To wrap up, how do I form perception then? I don't form perception quickly. I must see a pattern of actions over a good period of time. If I see something that is not positive, I will give it the benefit of doubt first. But be mindful and be observant until I have enough facts and information, until I see the pattern of the actions. Then I will draw a conclusion. This is how I form perception. How do you form your perception? I take perception as a pinch of salt. How do you take Alicia Tay, a certified professional coach and a HRDF certified trainer. Learn to do reflection process objectively by watching Reflection Time with Alicia Tay to gain clarity. Because wisdom comes from reflection. Logic is the beginning of wisdom. Clarity leads to wisdom. Ultimately, be a wise person. Do subscribe to my channel so that you will be notified whenever I upload a new video. Thank you. See you in my next video.